everybody, welcome back to part 34 of the Trumpeter 1/200 scale Bismarck build with the Pontos set. In this episode I'm going to be adding some detail to the quarterdeck at the back of the ship. There's quite a bit of photo etch work to do. We're going to be using some of Pontos's scribed brass parts and some extra detailing on there as well. So we'll get over to the bench, make a start and get some of the parts together for the build. And then at the end of the video I'll come back and we'll get them fitted to the deck. So let's get started this week. Okay, so I'm going to start this week on the quarterdeck parts with the vents that go up the side of the barbettes. In this case on the quarterdeck it's C barbette. And there's some photo etch to go on these, so I want to get that photo etch out of the way, get it painted up and straight onto the model. And that way it just reduces the risk of damaging the delicate photo etch. I'm just going to take care with these to get them in the right order because, as you can see, they're all slightly different. So it's going to be easy to get them mixed up. Okay, so this is the part of the instructions in the Pontos set where we detail these vents. As you can see, they're all different and each one has a different set of photo etch grills and covers. And these all match the photo etch work that I did on the superstructure bulkheads. On this particular ship, as you can see, each bulkhead is full of all that detail and it really does add quite a bit to the model, so it's worth doing. So I'm just going to work around these 8 pieces and get all the photo etch on. There are obviously some to go on the forward barbette, on B barbette, but I'll do that when I come to do the forecastle on the ship in a future episode. We also have a couple of walkways to fit around these vents when we come to put them on the ship. But I'll fold them up and paint them along with the vents. There's no doubt that these photo etch parts are very fiddly to fold up and fit, but it's this that I think really brings a ship model to life, these sort of little fine photo etch details. So although they do take a long time and a lot of patience to work with, I think they do make a big difference to the final impact of the model. Just a quick squirt of activator, because there's so little glue on that connection at the end of the railing. It's just easier to set it instantly with the activator. And that's all the vent equipment for the barbettes. Start to do some of the hatches for the quarterdeck now. Just sorting out some of the last few of the smaller hatches here, and I've done two different styles. I've done 4 of them open. There are 14 to go on the quarterdeck altogether. and I've done 4 of them in the open position. And the reason I've only done 4 of them open is because they're so much more complex than the closed ones. So this has 5 different parts just for one hatch, including the separate hinges. So it just takes an absolute edge to do each one of those, so I'm not going to be doing all 14. So I'll just finish these last 3. These closed small hatches still need the hinges fit into them, which are these tiny parts, and they're double edged, so they need to be folded over and gently placed into position. They only obviously need a spot of CA on them. Okay, so these are the capstans for the quarterdeck and the rope drums that are associated with them, so they're paired up like that. There is a bit of a problem with these parts in the Pontos set, in that, as you can see, you get these 6 rope drums, and they are actually different. But it's not absolutely clear from the Pontos instructions which is which, because the drawings all look the same, the layout drawings all look the same. But it is important to get the right one in the right place, and the only way of working it out is to use this piece of photo etch, which is designed to fit on top of 2 of the capstans. These are for the forecastle. So I know that these 2 are the drums for the forecastle, so I can put those to one side. So that leaves us with these 4, and the only difference between the 2 pairs is the length of the pins on the underneath. Now I've test fitted these onto the quarterdeck location, and they will go in either hole, so as far as I can tell, it doesn't really matter which of the drums you put in which position, because above the pins they're just the same. So I'm not going to worry too much about these 4, and we'll just fit the wheels onto the top of these parts. So the wheels are made up from several photo etch pieces, and they're just layered on top. Whilst I've got the fret out, I will make the forecastle capstan as well, so that we can just pop it on when we come to fit that deck out. So I'll put one of those three into store for later on. These tiny pieces of brass go on the stem of the capstan, and I'm not sure what they are, but they've got a couple of folds in them. I'm not really sure that they're going to add that much, but I'll fit them anyway. It's a good idea now and again just to clean a pair of tweezers, because the tiniest trace of CA on them means that you can't get the part off the tweezers, especially these tiny little bits. Trumpeter supply these pieces, which are for a pair of depth charge racks that were fitted in 1941, in April 1941, which seems a really peculiar weapon to have on a battleship. It would have made it the largest corvette in the Kriegsmarine. Okay, so that's all the parts for this session. I'll get these other ones painted up. I've already done the ones that I did earlier on in the video, the hatches and so on, the vents. And then we'll get over to the ship and get all these parts fitted. Okay, here we are back at the ship, ready to fit these parts. So I'm going to remove the turrets first of all, get them out of the way. And you might notice that I've repainted turret Caesar, and that's in response to some information from Hannah and Martin, who kindly messaged me to send information that said that the turret Caesar was repainted in the light grey when it was in Grimstad Fjord and when it left Grimstad Fjord. So I've repainted Caesar in the sky. So let's get some of these parts fitted now. I'll start with the vents on the barbette. Just making sure that the deck's properly pushed down around the mountings for these vents, because if not, they're not going to sit properly on the deck. These are these really nice platforms that fit around these vents. So they're a really nice detail, and it'll be hard to see from the camera angle I've got there above the ship, but I'll get some photographs for you for the end of the video so you can see that. These two parts here, which you can see in close-up, are awning rails for these open gangways on the deck. And it's an example fitting these where you're using a little bit of artistic license on the model, because if you configured the model to look like the ship was when it was at sea, you'd be hiding quite a lot of the detail that's possible with these photo etch sets. So of course the gangways would be covered over in all probability. Things like the ship's boats would have been covered with tarpaulins. The staffs on ship's boats would have been stowed away. Another example would be that I'm going to fit some accommodation ladders. And that's just to illustrate really how the accommodation ladders looked, even though of course they'd only be deployed when the ship was in port. So it's taking advantage of the benefits of photo etch. So the last thing I'm going to do is to fit the capstans and the drums on here, but they need to be painted black, so I'll go and do that, and I'm also going to have to mask off these bases and paint those black as well. and then we'll get those last bits and pieces fitted in. I should really have painted these bases black before I put the deck down. It'd be much easier than having to mask it off at this stage. I'm not going to fit the depth charge racks yet. They go almost on the stern of the ship, and they slightly overhang the scuppers on the edge of the deck. So I haven't fitted those yet, so I'm just going to leave these off for the time being, but they're all ready to go on. But apart from that, the most of the deck fittings are done. So I can refit the turrets now. And that's some more decent progress this week. So I'm going to leave it there for now, and next time I'm going to pick up with a similar kind of stage of the build on the forecastle. So completing some of the windlasses and things like that, anchor chains, the breakwaters, and I think there's some more vents and things to fit to the forward barbettes. So that'll be part 35 coming up in what is now a regular slot for the ship on Friday night. So hopefully I'll see you then. In the meantime, look after yourselves, everybody. Bye for now.